Well, family, I really want to believe that I am not alone and that most of you have jollof in your fridge almost all the time. In my house, you will find jollof every single day. My kids love jollof, which is okay because I would rather let them have jollof than just to eat plain rice because they won't eat their stew. So today we are going to be making Toolo beef jollof. That is just salted beef cooked in our jollof. Very simple. This is my homemade Toolo beef. I have a recipe here for you. I also have some pre-made tomato sauce, and we are just going to add our rice. 3 simple ingredients, I should say 4, because we have our onion, which I'm currently slicing. I'm going to be cooking this in the oil and then add my meat to that. Now that we are done with the onions, let's cut up our beef. So this I made a few days ago. It has been sitting in the fridge. So yes, the aroma, the fragrance I should say, of authentic Toolo beef is almost here perfectly. And I actually found sea salt from Ghana in the African market, so it is very close to the one sold back home. And I said in my Toolo beefy recipe, Toolo beefy is Toolo beef when you have onions in it. So when you try that recipe, please don't skip on the sliced onions in there. That is going to give you that fragrance that, trust me, you won't believe. So I'm going to wash my Toolo beefy now. I've cut them up, all of them up into sizes that I think is just good enough for me. And I have some warm water here, so I'm just trying to swirl it around, washing it off, trying to get as much of the salt off as possible. This is homemade, so it is not as salty as the ones that you probably would buy in the African market. The ones from Ghana probably will be perfect because they are not as salted also, but the ones they sell here are almost always in brine, but that is salt water, and so it really gets very salty. I've used Toolo beefy from the African market before to cook soup that I couldn't even take a sip of. It was extremely salty. That was my very first time, so of course I learned. And so in subsequent times, before I started making my own salted beef at home, I would either buy it, bring it home and soak it in water for maybe a whole day and then throw away that water before I save it for when I'm going to cook. Or if I was going to use some right away to cook, I'll parboil it, throw away the water, and then use it in my recipe. So I hope this is helpful to you, but sincerely, I hope you try to make your own at home. You will love it. So I've poured my oil here, fried my onions in the oil until it is partially caramelized, and now I am adding in my salted beef. In here, I'm going to fry this. So our stew is pretty made already. It is very well cooked, and so we're just going to let our meat get a chance to cook, give off all that fragrance that Toolo beefy will bring to your jollof or your awamo, which most likely is what you're used to, having salted beef in your awamo or your braised rice. But yes, this is going to be perfect. So I have stirred it constantly, trying to make sure that it is fried. This is like me trying to fry my beef, but it has a lot of onions in here, as well as the salt from the meat, which makes the caramelization even faster, and of course the fat that is being rendered from the meat. And so you don't want to leave this without stirring it, otherwise it's just going to burn everything. So I've added about half a cup of water here. At this point, I'm going to cover this and let the beef get a chance to cook. Like, you're trying to let it cook to a point where it is edible, so it's not going to be raw in your jollof. So I've allowed this to cook covered for about 10 minutes, and as you can see now, the liquid or the water in here has really cooked all the way down. There's almost no water here. It's just a lot of caramelization here, the fat from the meat and the onions and everything just thickened up here. And this is perfect timing for me to add in my stew at this point. This is, I would say, 2 cups of stew and a little bit more. This is a 2-cup container, but I filled it all the way to the brim, and it's a very good cooked tomato stew which of course I'm going to link the recipe here for you. I hope you have tomato stew at home, even if you're not going to use my recipe. So on a good day, you come home from work, you're super tired, and there's nothing else to make. If you have some salted beef home, you probably would be thinking on the lines of anwamo, which I used to do a lot of when I used to work day shift. I would just, especially when I was pregnant with my son, I would just come home and make anwamo. But of course, if I have pre-made tomato stew like this and there was nothing else, I really didn't feel like making some chicken or anything, oh yes, I would make Toolo beefy jollof. So simple, quick, and of course the nutrition here is gonna be better than you having some anwamo, okay, because you have some tomato stew here which has a lot of vitamins from your fresh tomatoes and everything, and so absolutely perfect. So anyway, I put in the stew, I have stirred it a little bit, and I've now added my rice which I pre-washed here, and I'm just trying to stir it around, giving it a chance to toast a little bit in the tomato stew before I add some water to it. So I filled the cup that I had the stew in with water. So it's 2 cups of water. I already told you it's a 2-cup container. I'm adding 1 cup, but I left half of that still because I'm just trying to cook like how we would typically cook as Africans, okay? But thank God this cup is already graduated, so I can tell you how much water I'm using. So of course, typically that's how you would cook jollof. You just want to add the water gradually as you stir and make sure that the water is at the level that you think is going to cook your jollof perfectly. So I'm thinking I could add just the little water that is in the bowl, and that's what I'm going to do right now. So in total I have about 3 cups of water here to cook my 3 cups of rice, and this is the part that really allows you to cook your rice to perfection. So that is enough. You may need to add just about half a cup or a quarter cup more depending on how you are cooking your rice or what kind of rice, but this is going to be perfect, I know. So I covered it for about 5 minutes, and I'm just stirring it because this is a very heavy pot, so it starts cooking almost right away. As you can see, the rice is already starting to form crust, and that is why I need to be coming in here to stir it a little bit regularly than I would with a normal pot. So I covered this and let it cook for an extra 10 minutes. Came back to check on it, and as you can see, our rice is almost all the way cooked now. Very few raw grains in here, and at this point I'm going to cover with a parchment paper and the lid to allow the vapor to be trapped in here to help cook our rice all the way through.
Delicious. Delicious, yeah, delicious, delicious, yeah, delicious, 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 yeah, delicious. Can you smell the aroma? Yeah. From Kwankyewaa's kitchen.
So I covered with a parchment paper and the lid for about 7 minutes, and our rice is done at this point. Perfectly cooked. It smells so good here. Yes, if you have never tried Toolo beefy jollof, I hope you are able to try this. I know for sure this is going to be a hit. The fragrance, the aroma, the taste is something that for some reason the kids really enjoy as well. So yes, this is going to be a definite winner. This was served very simply. I just had that and some beans that I pre-cooked to go with it. Very simple. Hopefully you have some veggies to go with it as well. An absolute delight. Thanks for watching. Thanks for doing this with me. Please like and share this video, and until I come your way next time with something delicious, be loving, be kind, be happy.